My name is Tyona Menzies, reporting from Deaf Nation 2023, an exposition displaying deaf and hard of hearing culture, experience, and history. On Saturday, November 4th, Deaf Nation celebrated 20 years as an organization in Chicago, Illinois. Since 2003, Deaf Nation Expo has attracted over 1 million attendees throughout the United States.
We miss seeing each other, being able to chat and catch up on old times and stuff. And also, this event is the only time where all of the deaf and hard of hearing people come together. Some other events deaf people miss or whatever, but this one is like the only place that everybody makes it their business to come, which is really nice. And that helps deaf businesses too, deaf-owned businesses. We have sports events, but some people aren't interested in sports events. But this is something that's like general, where everyone is welcome, including like sign language interpreters or high school students that are learning ASL. They could come here and learn more about deaf culture and meet deaf people, and that's right.
Filling arenas, Deaf Nation encourages deaf sponsors, deaf business owners, and exhibitors to share community needs, language, and culture. This year's exposition featured deaf rapper and hip-hop creator Wawa. An exposition filled with creativity and accessibility. This is Tyona Menzies reporting for GSUTV.
Now that I've calmed down a bit, now I just feel angry. The fact that this happens over and over again is ridiculous. School shootings have been happening since I was born. I was born in the year 2000. It's 2023. And I'm tired of it. And I don't know how I can just walk around on campus after this.
On Wednesday, a gunman opened fire on the campus of University of Nevada, Las Vegas, killing 3 faculty members and wounding a 4th. University police first responded to calls of shots fired around 11:45 a.m. local time, during the time in which the suspect began shooting on the 4th floor of Beam Hall, a building on campus, and continued to multiple floors before he was neutralized outside of the building as a result of a shootout with the police. The person wounded in the shooting was initially listed in critical condition at a hospital, but police later said they were stable. Authorities gave the all-clear about 40 minutes after the first report of an active shooter.
I can tell you today, 3 of the victims are confirmed deceased. There is a 4th victim who suffered a gunshot wound and is now currently in Sunrise Hospital, upgraded to stable condition. In addition to that, there were 4 additional people who were transported from the scene to nearby hospitals suffering from panic attacks. 2 of our officers were treated at UMC for minor injuries, which were received while searching the vast rooms and buildings for victims at UNLV.
Law enforcement identified the suspect as 67-year-old Anthony Polito, a professor who had been unsuccessful in acquiring a job at the UNLV institution. Officials stated that his job application for UNLV professor was from 2020, and a specific motive for the shooting is unclear. But it was noted that Polito had a hit list and had sent 22 letters prior to the shooting. As part of the ongoing investigation, law enforcement searched Polito's Henderson, Nevada apartment, retrieving several electronic devices, including his personal cell phone. No further information of the investigation has been released to the public. This is Jason Gonzalez reporting for GSU TV.
And I want to tell you that we're here today with an arrest of a suspect, and thanks to the community that came forward. This morning, I was out asking for tips. We received tips, a plethora of tips that came through. And because of those tips, we were able to charge Tyree Stephen Phillips, 22-year-old, with second-degree murder with a firearm.
Early Sunday morning, a shooting broke out in Ybor City, a neighborhood in Tampa Bay. after an altercation between two groups occurred during Halloween festivities. 18 individuals were hospitalized, one person died at the scene, while a second victim died at a hospital as a result of sustained injuries. In a press conference Sunday afternoon, it was announced that 22-year-old Terrell Phillips was apprehended and has been charged with second-degree murder. Investigators believe that at least 2 additional individuals fired shots during the altercation. The Tampa Bay Police Department says they are continuing investigations and using footage they received from the community to potentially find other shooters who were involved. This is Jason Gonzalez reporting for GSUTV. 37-year-old DJ Hernandez, the older brother of the late New England Patriots tight end Aaron Hernandez, is now behind bars after failing to appear in court and being accused of planning shootings at local colleges. His July 18th arrest marks his 4th time this year in police custody. Hernandez is currently facing charges in a different case after he threw a brick at an ESPN Bristol studio back in March. His most recent arrest led Hernandez to be shocked with a stun gun and arrested after he threatened to kill officers who had gone into his home with an arrest warrant.
I really hope that people close to him are able to talk to him and hope that our community is able to stay safe in this time. I love UConn, I love this school, and I love being here.
Bristol police following the arrest spoke to 2 women at Hernandez's house. They described his mental health as deteriorating. Among the concerns were several text messages and social media posts that described him taking notes, names, and locations. The 37-year-old has now been charged with breach of peace and threatening. He is being held on a $250,000 bond, with his scheduled hearing on August 1st. This is Jason Gonzalez reporting for GSU-TV. Kai Cenat, a social media streamer with 6.6 million followers on Twitch, organized a fan giveaway in Manhattan's Union Square on August 4th. What was supposed to be a community event turned out to be a gathering of over 6,000 rowdy fans who caused chaos across New York City. Individuals darted in and out of traffic, climbed on the hoods of cars. Others mounted up lampposts and traffic signs, toppled trash cans, and even threw objects at police officers. The chaos caused the New York Police Department to declare Level 4 mobilization, indicating the deployment of roughly 1,000 officers to the scene. By the end of the afternoon, at least 66 people had been arrested, with about half of them being minors. The 21-year-old streamer and his associates were arrested upon their arrival. NYPD chief revealed that Cenat may be charged with 2 counts of inciting a riot. No charges or further details have been confirmed. Following his detainment, Cenat addressed the situation via a Twitch stream.
Being from New York, it has been my dream to want to give back to the community that made me who I am. And I want people to know that none of that was my intention. I had good intentions for this whole thing. I don't condone any of the things that went on.
The internet superstar is expected to appear in court on August 18th. Authorities have issued a desk appearance ticket to the 21-year-old to ensure his presence. This is Jason Gonzalez reporting for GSU-TV.
Brittany Watts of Ohio was just under 22 weeks pregnant in September, says a coroner's report, and had gone to the hospital at least twice for pain. Both times she left after being made to wait for hours without treatment, according to the Washington Post.
Ended up going home, had a miscarriage like many others have experienced, and is now being charged with abuse of a corpse.
Maris is not Watts' attorney, but is a defense and trial lawyer closely watching this case. The Post says Watts returned to the hospital where a nurse called the police after Watts told the nurse that remains from the miscarriage could be found at her home.
Prosecutors essentially said it was irrelevant whether or not the fetus was, whether or not there was a live birth. They were focused on everything that happened after.
And it was after the miscarriage. County records show Watts tried to flush some of the remains and put the rest in a bucket left outside. An autopsy found no recent injuries to the fetus, which had died in utero. Watts' lawyer tells CNN in a statement that there is no law in Ohio that requires a mother to bury or cremate the remains of a miscarriage, and they will continue to fight the charge.
There's a lot of uncertainty about the way these statutes are going to be used, and there's less constitutional barriers that were in place under Roe.
For GSU-TV, my name is Tyona Menzies.
An Atlanta woman was arrested on the morning of December 8th after attempting to set on fire the childhood home of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The woman, identified as Lanisha Henderson, was later taken into custody the same day. Shortly after 5 in the morning, Henderson was seen pouring gasoline on the front porch and yard of the house by 2 tourists visiting the site at the same time. The 2 initially paid no mind to Henderson, but later noticed she had a gas can, at which point the 2 intervened. The 2 are credited for helping prevent the arson, along with 2 retired police officers who were also present, helping to restrain Henderson until Atlanta police could arrive. City workers were able to wash off what gasoline had already been poured on the home, and no permanent damage has been done. The house has served as a national landmark since 1980 as part of the Martin Luther King Jr. National Historic Park in Atlanta, as it was the house where Dr. King was born in 1929 and spent a portion of his childhood. While the house is currently closed for renovations unrelated to the attempted arson, it is planned to reopen for tours by 2025. For GSUTV, this is Graham Taylor. This year has seen no shortage of nationwide strikes, and even as 2023 comes to a close, more work stoppages loom on the horizon. This year has seen the highest amount of strikes in the U.S. since 2013, and seeing the results of this year's pickets alone, it's hard to argue with the results. The first major strike to rock America this year was the Writers Guild of America strike, which began on May 2nd and lasted until September 27th. Actors from SAG-AFTRA formed their own picket a few months later on July 14th, and the 2 strikes in tandem contributed to one of the largest work stoppages ever in Hollywood. In between the eruptions to the American film and television industry, Starbucks workers from over 100 stores across the country started a series of staggered strikes in June, closing down shops in protest of the company's ban on LGBTQ pride decorations and signage. The strike only lasted a week before Starbucks put up a statement and updated their guidelines. Auto Workers of America and Canada were next to join the ranks of 2023 picketers a few months later, as members of the United Auto Workers Union from the Big 3 automakers struck on September 15th. The strike grew to encompass even more manufacturers and plants over the next 2 months, with the automakers largely meeting the demands of union members, ending the strike in late October. As the year came to a close, Southwest airline pilots almost initiated a strike during the 2023 holiday travel season, but the Southwest Airlines Pilot Association reached a tentative deal with the airline before the strike was officially called. The deal is still dependent on Southwest pilots approving the contract, but for the meantime, 2023 avoided yet another strike. The through line for all these strikes was naturally the struggle for better working conditions and higher wages. WGA and SAG-AFTRA members were also aligned in the fight for protections against AI and emerging generative technologies being used in creative works, and that is likely to be a point of contention for unions in similar fields going forward. Generally, though, all these strikes were successful, with union members walking away with better pay and benefits across multiple different fields all across the nation. For GSU-TV, this is Graham Taylor.
Minimum wage workers in 22 states will get a raise at the start of the new year. The higher hourly rates are due either to scheduled increases or lawmakers upping the minimum wage in their jurisdictions because of inflation. Come January 1st, 7 states in the District of Columbia will have minimum wages of $15 or more. In New York City, the minimum wage is increasing to $16 an hour. The highest state minimum wage will be Washington State at $16.28, up from $15.75. A close second is California, which is raising its minimum wage to $16 from $15.50. The state with the biggest jump in its minimum wage next year will be Hawaii, which is hiking it by $2. 20 states are still using the federal minimum wage of $7.25, which hasn't gone up since 2009. With GSU-TV, my name is Tyona Menzies. A third death has been reported in the U.S. in an outbreak of salmonella tied to whole and pre-cut cantaloupe products. The Food and Drug Administration reports 230 cases of illness in 38 states, including the 3 U.S. deaths. Canada has also confirmed 129 salmonella cases, including 5 deaths in 6 provinces. Canadian officials say most of those sickened are 5 years old and younger, or over 65, and many attended some kind of group care, such as a nursing home or daycare. The outbreak is tied to cantaloupes grown in Mexico and sold under the Rudy and Malachita brands. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says it's best not to eat pre-cut cantaloupes if you don't know where they came from. Anyone who has recalled cantaloupe products at home should throw them away or return them to the store where they were bought. This is Tyona Menzies reporting for GSUTV.
On December 13th, Tesla recalled over 2 million cars in regards to an issue with the vehicle's autopilot features. This recall affects vehicles produced by Tesla from 2012 to December of this year, which includes most of the electric vehicles produced by the company in the US to date. This was announced following a years-long investigation into Tesla's self-driving technology by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The features in question are auto steer and traffic-aware cruise control, which attempt to keep the vehicles in the proper lanes and going the proper speed without driver input under certain conditions. Since these features debuted in 2014, there have been over 700 crashes involving vehicles using the self-driving software, according to the NHTSA. After announcing the recall, Tesla also pushed out a software update to the affected vehicles, limiting where these features could be accessed and including more safeguards. On December 22nd, Tesla announced another recall, affecting more than 120,000 additional vehicles. This recall was in response to a defect discovered by Tesla earlier this month, in which certain Model S and Model X car doors could unlatch during a crash, increasing the danger of potential crashes. Another software update was pushed out to these vehicles as well. In the meantime, the NHTSA investigation remains open while the issues get resolved. For GSUTV, this is Graham Taylor.
It's getting colder, more dreary, and darker earlier. With changing weather and shorter days, these are all triggers for those with seasonal affective disorder.
And it occurs in 1 to 10% of Americans. It's more common amongst females and people who live in colder climates.
Psychologist Susan Albers with Cleveland Clinic says this disorder is caused by a shift in the season, which disrupts our circadian rhythms with less sun exposure.
This in turn interrupts our natural internal clock. As a result, there is a drop in serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter that regulates our mood, as well as melatonin, which regulates sleep.
Albers says to pay attention to any of these signs: feeling down, unmotivated, loss of interest, shifts in appetites, eating more or carb cravings, changes in sleep, sleeping too little or too much, and loss of energy.
The symptoms are similar to depression, but they are much milder and they pass when the spring arrives.
Albers says light lamps mimic outdoor lights and can be helpful, and recommends 20 minutes a day due to lack of vitamin D exposure. She suggests eating food full of vitamin D such as salmon, mushrooms, eggs, fortified bread, and milk. Lastly, try cognitive behavioral therapy.
This will help to change some of the negative thoughts you're having during the winter months, as well as establish healthy routines around sleeping and eating.
With GSUTV, I'm Tyona Menzies.
She said that she had thrown a cup of yogurt at lunch, and I asked, well, if you were out at a restaurant, would you do that there?
And I was like, I've never really been to a restaurant. I don't really have a family. I'm in a group home.
For the first 11 years of her life, Raven says she never felt loved, and she was stuck living in terrible conditions.
We had head lice. We had like bruises all up and down us. Our fingernails were really gross and stuff.
Jason and his wife, Mary Beth, had already faced infertility attempts and fostered children who were eventually returned to their biological parents.
It just crushed us, so we made the decision, probably more so me, that my heart couldn't take another break like that.
After Jason heard Raven's story, he wanted to help her. He and his wife decided to start the process of fostering.
That a mother falls in love with her child at first sight, and I can remember Raven walking into that room that day, that scared little kid, and I just knew in my heart, this is what it's supposed to be.
Raven was initially hesitant to be fostered by the principal, but after one visit, she felt like she belonged.
The same weekend, we went and painted the room my favorite color, teal. I just knew that everything happens for a reason.
Jason and Mary Beth officially adopted Raven in 2017.
Where do you think you would be right now if you did not have them?
Honestly, I wouldn't be alive.
And why do you think that's the case?
I probably would have went down a completely different path.
Raven had a new life, but it wasn't easy. She had to overcome a lot of trauma from her childhood. She's studying social work at the University of Kentucky.
She's overcome a lot of the challenges that she's had, and we're really proud of her.
For GSUTV, I'm Tyona Menzies.
On November 12th, a highway tunnel located in northern India collapsed as a result of a landslide, leaving 41 migrant construction workers trapped. Rescue efforts had proven difficult as a result of its collapse in a mountainous region 200 meters away from the tunnel's entrance, leaving those trapped inside with limited access to food, water, and medicine. For 17 days straight, government agencies worked day and night to create a safe passageway for the workers to exit. It was not until November 28th that the 41 construction workers were rescued from the caved-in tunnel. The recovery teams on site drilled an escape route through the mountain, in a process that contained many setbacks, due to technical problems before the last few meters were drilled by hand. From the moment the first worker was evacuated from the tunnel, it took rescuers less than 1 hour to pull all of the men to safety, where they were greeted by officials. All 41 workers were taken to the hospital for treatment. Government officials confirmed that the operation was complete and that the men were not injured. This is Jason Gonzalez reporting for GSUTV.
On December 21st, a student opened fire on fellow classmates and faculty at Charles University in Prague, Czech Republic. 14 people were killed, with an additional 25 people injured during the attack. The gunman, David Kozak, killed himself while engaging in a firefight with police on the roof of the university. A manhunt for Kozak was already underway before the attack began, as a friend of Kozak had alerted his mother that he intended to take his life later that day. His mother then contacted the police around noon. Kozak is also suspected of killing his father before proceeding with the attack. His father was found dead in their home just before 1 p.m. The shooting began around 3 o'clock p.m. on the upper floors of the Faculty of Arts building located in Jean Pollock Square, with police arriving on the scene a few minutes later. Students and faculty took cover in classrooms, and some fled to the roof via the windows. Kozak eventually made his way to the roof as well, where he fired at responding officers before taking his own life. This attack is the deadliest shooting in the history of the Czech Republic, and one of the deadliest mass shootings in Europe. Evidence found in Kozak's home also points to him being the perpetrator of another attack a week prior on December 15th. Leaving 2 dead. An investigation is still ongoing regarding his involvement. For GSUTV, this is Graham Taylor.
I'm not going to be the Dragon Warrior anymore?
You will advance to spiritual leader of the Valley of Peace.
Inner peace. Inner peace.
Keep your surf off my turf!
Dinner, please. Dinner with peas.
Welcome to Hollywood Buzz, your source for the latest in the entertainment industry. I'm your host, Jason Gonzalez. Today we have stories from iconic music artists all the way to new announcements of films. Let's get started. Our first story comes from rapper Young Thug, who will continue his legal battle until after the holiday. The RICO case against the rapper was stalled after one of his 5 Young Slime Life co-defendants was injured during an inmate brawl in Atlanta. The jurors and Young Thug are expected to report back to court on January 2nd. 12-time Grammy-nominated artist Nicki Minaj continues to make history, as her newest album, Pink Friday 2, debuted at #1 on Billboard's 200 album chart, making Nicki Minaj the female rapper with the most #1 albums ever. In other news, pop star Demi Lovato announced her engagement with musician Jordan Lutz. The couple had been together since August of 2022. Lovato expressed via Instagram that Lutz's proposal left her speechless and created a night to remember. Singer and songwriter Ciara has given birth to her 4th child and 3rd with her husband Russell Wilson. The couple made their happy announcement in an Instagram post on Monday with a photo of their baby girl and a caption revealing her name as Amora Princess Wilson.
It is our honor to welcome to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Zac Efron!
Now it's time to turn to the film industry, where actor Zac Efron was honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The 36-year-old actor says it's a dream come true to have a star on Hollywood Boulevard. Another movie based on a doll could be hitting the big screen. Toy company Mattel is developing a live-action film based on its American Girl doll line. Lindsay Anderson Beer is set to produce and write the screenplay for the American Girl doll movie.
Tai Lung, big fan. Once I possess the kung fu of every master villain, no one will dare question my power.
Not even the great Dragon Warrior.
Who's that?
The most powerful shape-shifting sorceress, the Chameleon.
How do I find this, the Chameleon?
I'm gonna lead you right to her front door.
It was against an army!
Then we'll just have to get an army of our own.
What is this place?
The best crooks and criminals live here.
You're a wanted criminal?
You sound surprised. Is it surprising?
Now you kids be careful with those fireworks.
The Kung Fu Panda franchise is back for a fourth movie. In this adventure, Po has to reunite the Furious Five to combat a powerful shape-shifting sorceress who has set eyes on the Staff of Wisdom. Kung Fu Panda 4 is set to release on March 8th, 2024. This is Jason Gonzalez reporting for GSUTV.
It's middle of the field, wide. Cucho's dropping deep. Rossi's blocked.
Oh, how about that? Yaboa got behind Hollick, said Yaboa!
Welcome to Sports Talk. I'm your host, Jason Gonzalez. Today we'll be covering the latest and the greatest stories from the world of sports. Let's get started.
Here in Columbus, 20,000 plus have been shaking the building. Two clubs that represent two ways of doing it. An MLS original, reborn thanks to their fans and local.
Plenty to see.
Here's Yaboa from the byline, clipping into a dangerous area. Rossi was at a handball. It was! Penalty Columbus! Wayward arm from Palacios Cup. Cucho scores!
Our first story comes from Major League Soccer, where the Columbus Crew were crowned MLS Cup champions in front of their home fans on Saturday, as they defeated LAFC 2-1 to secure their first MLS Cup since 2020 and third all-time. Forward Chucho Hernandez was awarded Finals MVP as a result of his penalty kick in the 33rd minute. There is a new star in the Los Angeles Dodgers franchise. Two-way star Shohei Ohtani will be wearing blue and white starting next season, as a result of a historic deal worth $700 million over 10 years.
Inside, taken away.
Corner should have looked opposite wing on that one.
Oh, blocked by Bronny!
You see the athleticism of Bronny James, kind of like his dad. His dad's the best chase down block guy in the history of the world.
In other news, Bronny James is back on the court for the USC Trojans after suffering cardiac arrest during a workout in July. Through his first 3 games with the Trojans, the 6'4" guard is averaging 5 points, 2.7 rebounds, 1 assist, and playing 16 minutes per game.
Somehow not called for the travel. Doncic, deep three, got it! And Luka Doncic hit the Suns really. They are tired of losing, and they want to get healthy in a hurry as Doncic knocks down another one.
On Christmas Day, the Dallas Mavericks took on the Phoenix Suns in a modern-day rivalry. Through 4 quarters, it would be the Luka Doncic show with a 50-point, 15 assists, and 6-rebound performance. Doncic's 8 3-pointers tied a Christmas record and led the Mavericks to a 128-114 victory over the Suns.
It is my great pleasure to announce that the 2023 Heisman Trophy winner is Jaden Daniels from Louisiana State University.
Now it's time to turn to football, where the annual Heisman Memorial Trophy is awarded to the most outstanding player in college football. This year, it was LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels. The 23-year-old finished his senior year with nearly 4,000 total yards and 50 touchdowns.
And Herbert the carry, trying to get to the edge. He does. Does he have speed to get to the end zone? He does! It's a Bears touchdown! Fields, play fake, fakes it twice. In trouble, Chase throws, caught, touchdown!
The NFL is back with Week 16 and a matchup between the 3-11 Arizona Cardinals and the 5-9 Chicago Bears. From the start, the Bears dominated with 3 touchdowns before halftime. Running back Khalil Herbert finished the game with 112 yards and 1 touchdown as he led Chicago to a 27-16 victory over Arizona. This is Jason Gonzalez reporting for GSU TV.